How's it going, everybody? My name is Jason Lamana. For those of you unfamiliar, I'm a H production racer. I've raced with the class for almost 10 years now. Before that, I was in IT. I've been racing in SCCA for the last, quick math, 16 years. So 17 years, I think, actually. So, yeah. It's Saturday. This is 2 days after we just had a big webinar Eric Pearl put out, basically outlining the future of the club and road racing in the club. So I had a couple days to sit on it. I haven't really shared my thoughts or anything like that. I wanted to get a pretty I don't know what you want to call it, reflective. I've been reflecting on it, trying to think of the positives and negatives here with what we got on our plate. Not making any knee-jerk reactions. And in all honesty, I think there's some good that can come out of this. I think there's a lot of good that can come out of this, actually. So bear with me. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, but I got a short little presentation I just came up with to outline my thoughts and whatnot. So, yeah. Little 4-slide presentation here. So SCCA, Sports Car Club of America. So your class is no longer invited to the SCCA Runoffs, a guide. Yeah, let's just jump right in here. What's going to change, basically, with what's been laid out here? Well, there's potentially, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's just assume we're not invited to the runoffs. First thing that changes is there's no runoffs. Second thing that changes is there's no need to be constrained by invisible conference boundaries that the runoffs and road to the runoffs creates. So we got that out of the way. Yes, there's going to be, at the moment, no contingency if we're not running at the majors and super tour level. That's not to say you can't. I still believe that you can do that, but that's not where this is going. And what do I got here? Fourth thing. Drivers will be forced/enticed to run regional events. At the regional events, we've got cheaper entries, and at the cheaper entries and people being forced to go to the regional level, hopefully we're going to have some larger fields at the regional level. What doesn't change? The number of cars, current cars in the class. A bunch of cars didn't just disappear off the map. They are still very much owned and being driven. And maybe there's some that aren't. Maybe there's some that are sitting in garages that could be driven that are out there. And people just don't have fields to race against. So that doesn't change. We still got all the cars. We still have the current group of drivers in the class. All of your friends, driver, enemies, frenemies, friends, whatever you want to label them as. They're all still out there. We're all still here. That doesn't change. The class camaraderie and culture, what we've built over the last number of years, that doesn't go out the window. We still got that. And what doesn't change? We still have the ability to bring the class together and race at the same events. So I think this is a good thing. And some of you, with what I outlined here, maybe don't, totally agree with me, but let's get into a little bit deeper here. So, what do you mean this is a good thing? Well, you can see here, I've got a nice little drawing. Right now, we've got a decent number of people going to the majors events. Some of them that are pretty well subscribed. I know this year's a little bit of an off year, but the years where people are pushing for the runoffs, the events, I live in the Northeast, these events I go to, we've had, upwards of 10 plus cars at some of the groups. Pretty consistent, at least a decent group to race against. At the regional level, we're looking pretty sparse. By the way, I also recognize being in the Northeast, I have a little bit more healthy fields than the rest of the country. So this isn't a broad brush stroke here, but I can only speak to what I can see here. But I think the idea still stands with what we've got across the board here. So regional level, you've got a couple less people showing up to those potentially. I mean, there might be areas where that's stronger, and that's great. You've also got these outliers. I got the people who, there's no one to race against at the regional, or quote unquote no one to race against at the regional level. They also don't want to go to the runoffs. They don't they don't want to afford them, they can't afford them, they choose not to go, pay the entries, kind of in limbo here. So these are people who want to race. There's just not really a great place because it's kind of currently a lose-lose. You either go to low fields at the regional level, or you paid a buttload of money to go to semi-filled outfields at the majors level. So what does their future look like? Well, if everybody's going to be forced to go to the regional level, this is kind of what it looks like right here. We've got all these people here, instead of being separated, kind of how we are right now, everybody's going to be going to the same events. As I said in the first or second slide, the last slide, we've still got the same drivers, we've still got the same cars, we've still got the same class camaraderie. We still have this ability to come together and come to these events. So this is what these events can look like. And I think it goes without saying that's kind of what we're all going for here. So why is this a good thing? Well, a couple bullet points. As I said, classes no longer split by the national and regional level. We are all going to be racing at the same level. Again, this is assuming the runoffs are out the window. We've got cheaper events and larger fields equals even larger fields. It's an exponential growth thing where if people see more people going to race events, they're going to choose to go to those events. And if we can build that up, I think we can get into a really, really good spot. Cheaper entries also equals more races per driver per year. If you're paying half the cost to go to these races and you can go to race events that you want to go to, well, then there you go. So not only do we have the same number of drivers and the same number of cars, we also have more races that those drivers and cars are entering into, which should also increase our fields. Another big thing here that maybe gets looked over sometimes, this is a great place for new drivers to come into the class. Where currently new drivers come into the regional level of racing, and as stated before, there's no one to race against. The carrots aren't out there. All the carrots, but I mean the guys they're kind of looking up to, the champions, the fast guys, the vets, the guys who've been around for a long time, maybe have the same car they have. They're not racing against those guys because those guys are going to pay the Uber money to go to the runoffs and the majors and the super tour events. So now we're all at the regional level. These guys get to race on track. The new drivers, they get to race against people, and they get to see the fast guys, be on track with them. So very welcoming to new drivers, which should help grow the class and build even more into these fields that we could potentially have. We've also got control over the individual, and I put in quotes, class schedules. By class schedules, I mean we're picking events that we're going to go to as a class. So we have control over that. As an individual, I can choose to go to what races I want to go to. I'm not constrained by certain races and tracks I can go to because they're not in my conference and I'm trying to go to the runoffs. So that's out the window. Also, as with the invitational that we have, the ability to bring class events and get preferential treatment. Meaning, if we do similar things to the runoffs at a couple other tracks around the country, we get our own run group at the invitational because we bring 30 plus cars. If we can do something similar to that, if we're going to regionals with 100, 125 cars maybe, and we're bringing a quarter of that, that's going to be, we can approach a region and say, hey, you guys got 7 run groups and we've got a quarter of our entries here. Could we get our own group? There's a lot of good things that can come out of this. Unless you're chasing championships, which I know some of us are, take that out of the equation, and there's a lot of good things to look at. So, what do we do? Well, first thing is stay calm, and that's kind of my approach here, what I'm trying to do by sharing this, and this is what I've tried to do myself. And I think the biggest thing, I should have put this in bold here, remember why you race in the first place. Why do we race? We want people to race against. I think that's possibly the biggest thing. And, have fun. Those two things go hand in hand. If the runoffs didn't exist, what would your racing schedule look like? What would you do? What races would you pick? Why would you pick them? Again, our hand is kind of being forced here, but just try to take that into consideration. Put that in your mind and just kind of ask yourself, what would I be doing if I wasn't chasing the runoffs? And what last thing we can do, work together as a group to make the most of this current situation. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. Get everybody on the same page. Let's not freak out. There's for anybody who's been around the club long enough, we know there's a lot of questionable things that go on, but we do have control over ourselves and our class, like it or believe it or not. So let's make the most of this and maybe make it better than it is currently, or better than it has ever been. So a couple things to try here. And anybody can do this. I can do this at the beginning of the season. Create a sign-up list at the start of the season to ensure event turnout is high. So I can just go through. We can pick a number of, you could say 20, 30, whatever number of regional events, and have everybody go through and just put their names under events that they would go to. You're not committing to it, but let's just say there's like 20 people. Hey, 20 people would go to this event. Let's all pick this event and go to that. You could do that, and like I said, it could be very flexible, but it just gives people a good idea. And as the season goes on, we can kind of play it by ear and go to those events. But it will give you a great, be able to kind of plan your schedule and also make sure you got cars to race against. So also, along those same lines, choose your own schedule. Go to that track that you never could, whatever. Maybe there's a track a little further away, but you're going to a regional. The entries are going to be a little bit lower. That helps not hit the pocketbook so much, and go to that track, race it. Big turnout. You want to go there. There's going to be a number of guys there. Go and have some fun. Go race that track that you're never able to. And the last thing we can do, I don't think this is necessary, but if we really get rolling here, we can create a point series within a class, kind of like we already have with the HPNPC, where we pick. Whatever, you can enter whatever number of races you want to, and we have our points system, our existing points system based on your finishing plus the number of people you beat. Maybe we say your best 5 races matter, and at the end of the day, we don't need contingency, we don't even need trophies, whatever. We're racing for something. I'm not saying we won't have those, but we're at that point we would still be racing for something. Bragging rights, competitiveness, it might pull people out to go to this other race that they, think they can do well at, and get more points and, just do well within the series. So, yeah, that's kind of all I got. I tried to keep this short and sweet, and just kind of go over my thoughts. So, I just kind of want to leave you guys with, last thing I want to leave you guys with here is, let's work together. Let's look forwards. SCCA is going to do what it's going to do. Let's choose to control what we can control, not worry about the things that we can't control. I think this class is great. I think it can be great. I think we can continue to grow. We got a lot of new people, new builds, a lot of excitement around the class. And I think for the other classes that might falter because of this, we could look even more attractive to some drivers in seeing what we're doing here, and create the class that we all want to be a part of. So, thank you guys very much for your time and listening, and I appreciate it. So, good luck on the rest of the season.